down to business.
When he drinks, he thinks.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to... Damn. Let me try that again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the #1 liquid-fueled liquid lubricated show on the interwebs. This is the Whiskey Musings Broadcast. Oh, my goodness. I just got to say, I'm glad we are here. We're kind of warming up. We're moving out from our cold up here in the Pacific Northwest. We still have a tiny little bit of snow on the ground, but it's melting away quickly. We actually made it up into the 40s today, which is much better than what we have had over the course of the last couple of weeks, for sure. All right. I'm sorry if you happen to hear my stomach rumbling. There's a reason for it. See, Bam over on Rumble has made, let's see, what did she made? Chicken enchiladas with beans and rice. And it apparently pairs great with her margaritas. So, one of these days I'm going to have to get down into that neck of the woods. And just so I can experience some of this stuff. I mean, it sounds so delicious. Anyway, all right. So, got a little bit of stuff for you tonight. It's kind of jam-packed, but something came out, and I caught it, and I thought that it would be extremely interesting, although not surprising, over everything that has been going on. And I'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, before I get too far into this, I do want to say I received this alert from the Daily Wire just prior to me going on the air. And so I want to read this to you guys. Apparently, multiple U.S. troops have been injured following a large missile barrage on a base in Iraq. Iranian-backed terrorist groups fired a large number of missiles at a base at approximately 6:30 p.m. Baghdad time. Multiple ballistic missiles and rockets were launched by Iranian-backed militants in western Iraq, targeting Al-Assad Air Base. U.S. Central Command said in a statement, most of the missiles were intercepted by the base's air defense systems, while others actually impacted the base. Officials have begun conducting damage assessments shortly after the attack, and a large number of U.S. personnel are undergoing evaluation for traumatic brain injuries, the statement added. So I'm going to ask the Whiskey Warriors if you pray or whatever, if you can please go and pray for these soldiers that are in harm's way, all due to the freaking moronic administration that we have in the White House right now. He's just, I can't even imagine. He is just causing all kinds of problems for us there. So, and yeah, Buddy Weiser over on Rumble says, have a cooking show sometime. Well, I'll think about it. We'll see what we can do. All right, let me go ahead and get the starting lineup going here tonight. I am drinking Wolcott, Kentucky-made whiskey. Bourbon, of course. It is, yeah. It's a really good whiskey. I picked it up over for the holiday. Got it as a gift, and so and I'm drinking it out of my Lucky Shot USA We the People rocks glass. Look at that bullet heading right into the glass. That is just fantastic. And of course, I got my rocks in the bottom, my stones, whiskey stones. Good stuff. All right. Now, let's move on, of course, to today's affiliate slash sponsor slash whatever you want to call them, the Institute on the Constitution. And they were established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission: to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.whiskeymusings.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.whiskeymusings.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.whiskeymusings.online. Or if you just want to grab this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution, head on over to constitution.whiskeymusings.online. Check this thing out. This is an 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather. The interior pages are tear-resistant and water-resistant. And check out that stitched binding. It goes all the way through the pages and the leather. They have a 100-year warranty against manufacturing defects and materials. You can get it either fixed or replaced for free. Head on over to constitution.whiskeymusings.online and you can pick this thing up. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted. Yes, that's Billy the Kid of the Outlaw Dogs. Billy tasted, Billy approved. And also my youngest whiskey warrior has verified the contents inside are able to get you past at least a civics exam, because he did it from civics to get his civics badge. Head on over to constitution.whiskeymusings.online and pick one of these up today. And I got to let everybody know, of course, Rumble loves the sexy rounded corners. The sexy rounded corners. All right, head on over to constitution.whiskeymusings.online and pick yours up today. And I recommend that you do, because we don't know how much longer before it becomes obsolete, unfortunately. Okay, so I see a couple not necessarily new people, but it's been a little while since I've done my rounds to welcome the Whiskey Warriors. Let's see, who do I have here? I have in the Facebook camp, I have Mark and Tommy and Becky, who are my usual set of malcontents and miscreants over there on Facebook. In Rumble, we have a couple of new faces, but the usual suspects of Buddy Weiser, Bonnie, Outlaw Dogs, Bam, and I see Ainsley Michelle. I've picked up Ainsley Michelle over on the Battleground, I believe. Actually, also, if I remember correctly, too, Wendy Bell Radio as well. And so Ainsley is there over on Rumble. I also have Poster Nutbag, at least I think that's what your name is supposed to spell out. PSTRNUTBAG. So I'm thinking that's Poster Nutbag. But anyway, and I saw that you had mentioned that you hang out, but you just don't talk or chat much. Well, you know what? You should try and get in on the chat. I'm telling you, the party folks, the party bus is over on Rumble. I mean, I love all my Facebook folks. I love my YouTube folks that follow there. But there's nothing like Rumble, and Rumble is the place to be, especially if you are a conservative, because of the fact that if you end up as a conservative commentator like myself, if you end up getting canceled off of one of the other platforms or all three of them, then you can always head on over to Rumble and you'll be able to find us, because they are the free speech alternative to YouTube. All right. So let me go ahead and, I cannot forget. Oh my gosh, today is Saturday. I'm just all kinds of discombobulated. I tried to set up for the show and I was having some issues trying to remember if I had everything up and running, as the way it was, before. So let me go ahead, and this is Saturday. So Saturday, of course, is On This Day in American History. And, of course, for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. It is chock full of information, and, of course, because we started a brand new season, brand new season, brand new year, we're starting right back over at the top. That's why, you can see I'm starting off. There's my marker. Right there, blue doesn't show very well because of the green screen stuff, but anyway. All right, today is January 20th. 3 years ago, this was really just a, anyway. All right, January 20th. I do solemnly swear. Every 4 years, following a presidential election, the nation holds an inauguration to install the president. The ceremony takes place at noon on January 20th, usually outside the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. The highlight comes when the president takes the oath of office. Every president since the nation's founding has taken the exact same oath. The Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, states the words that must be recited. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. George Washington is said to have added the words, "So help me God," when he took the oath, and other presidents have done the same. Thomas Jefferson was the first president to hold his inauguration in Washington, D.C., which did not become the U.S. Capitol until 1800. After his second inauguration, he rode by horseback from the Capitol building to the president's house, accompanied by well-wishers and band music. That procession began the tradition of the inaugural parade, which today proceeds from the Capitol down Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House. Other countries sometimes suffer... I skipped a paragraph. During the nation's early history, Inauguration Day was actually March 4th. In 1933, the 20th Amendment changed the date to January 20th to speed the changeover of administrations. Other countries sometimes suffer bloodshed as governments rise and fall. In America, power flows smoothly from one elected leader to the next. As Ronald Reagan said during his 1981 inaugural address, few of us stop to think how unique we really are. In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle. And that is today's On This Day in American History. And of course, Biden spent today on X, or I should say his intern spent today on X, talking about 3 years ago. Although as I said in my last program, I'm a little miffed at every time that I hear him talk about his oath of office. And the same goes for all of those veterans who claim that they cannot back Trump, but yet they want to back Biden because, veterans, especially the enlisted men and women, they take a oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And so how you can support Biden with his flagrant flaunting of the Constitution and just ignoring the Constitution and ignoring things like the Supreme Court order that blocked him supposedly from essentially doing what he's doing, which is forgiving loans that he shouldn't be. But anyway, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand how anybody can swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and support this current geriatric in office. Anyway, so sounds like somebody's having fun going ice skating. Another key point, or another thing that I want to give a shout out to, is the unofficial mascot of the Whiskey Musings broadcast. They had a meet today, and you guys, I'm telling you, the Whiskey Warriors all got together and gave them well wishes and good luck, and it worked because both teams, both the male and female teams of the Delaware Valley Water Moccasins, won their meets today. The boys apparently won by 2 points. I'm not too sure how many the girls won by. Outlaw Dogs might be able to go ahead and update us. But they are on a win streak. Let's keep the good lucks, the well wishes, the pump going for that team, because again, they are the unofficial mascots of the Whiskey Musings broadcast. I love hearing about them. Apparently the girls won by 20 points. So that is fantastic. Fantastic. So congratulations to them for doing that. Let me see. Yes, congratulations to them. We'll give them a round of applause for doing that and accomplishing their goal today, which was, of course, winning their meet. So congratulations. All right. So something happened. I mean, we all know that Biden goes running around, and of course, he loves his ice cream. In fact, he loves it so much he forgot that was his favorite food on Christmas when he and Dr. Jill Biden, the greatest doctor that has ever graced the doctorate and the world, who isn't a doctor and couldn't save your life if it depended on it. But anyway, he totally forgot the fact that he loves ice cream. But apparently he went and did an ice cream run. He was out and about. I'm not quite sure where, but he was out and about, and he went ahead and picked up some ice cream in North Carolina. Now he apparently likes a place called Cookout, which is an ice cream shop, burger joint, that kind of thing. And whenever he's in North Carolina, he loves to stop in and pick this up. Kind of like what I recall the baby back ribs from Papa Joe's from good old W. But anyway, he went ahead and stopped in to Cookout, and when he stopped in, they of course, his followers and sycophantic in whatever you want to call them, they all had to take photos with him and stuff like that. But there was something that got noticed on this, and it was called out by Senator Berger Press Shop. So Senator Berger, their press, called something out on this. And it was really apropos because of the fact that he's been, again, back on the Bidenomics train and touting the fact that, you know, this is the best economy of ever, you know, of ever any kind of economy or whatever else. But it was kind of interesting because what the press office for Senator Phil Berger did is they took a photo. They had a photo from when Biden visited that exact same spot 3 years ago and juxtaposed it with a photo from essentially today. And they highlighted a specific part within the photo. So let me go ahead and show you this. And I don't know if you may not be able to see this. I can't really zoom it in much, but that circled part at the top of the screen, they had their menu outside, apparently. And, you know, Joe goes in. Now, Joe likes the milkshakes, and the milkshakes that Joe likes, they call them milkshakes, but they're actually ice cream because, like places that I love to go, and, you know, I love a good milkshake now and again, but a milkshake is not a milkshake. It's a malt when it's this thick. When it's thick enough where you have to use a spoon, it's called a malt. A spoon, yes, I did say that. It's called a malt in my neck of the woods. But anyway, I digress. The point is, the photograph from 3 years ago shows Joe in front of a menu. And the top of that menu shows that their combo meals back then, 3 years ago, were $4.99 and $5.99 respectively. Now, they point out the larger of the combo meal, not the kids meal, but the adult meal, was $5.99. Juxtapose that with today's photo. And today's photo shows, just 3 years later, shows that the kids meal, the junior tray, is $6.69. And the adult tray is $7.69. So it went from $4.99 and $5.99 3 years ago to $6.69 and $7.69 today. Now, the thing about it is the math was done on this, and it essentially cost 28% higher. 28% higher just in 3 years for that. And they called that out in the X post. And of course, hat tip to PJ Media for bringing this to our attention. So again, you know, that wonderful Bidenomics, that that phrasing, that saying, whatever it is that they want to try and tell us that, oh no, inflation's coming down, everything's coming down, so on and so forth. Yeah. These people, I mean, now, again, kind of keep in mind that, you know, it's our pocketbooks. It's the American people's pocketbooks that are being affected most by this because of the fact that, you know, I mean, come on, you know, when you pull out your freaking wallet to go and pay for something, it costs more now. It costs way more now than what it did 3 years ago. And I don't care if Biden, I mean, I've told you on this program, I've talked to you about it. I've shown you all the data. I've shown you the numbers. I hit people up on X about this all the time. There is no way that you can sit here and tell me that stuff today is coming down in price because of Bidenomics. He is on a spending spree. In fact, we have hit 34 trillion in our debt. 34 trillion, folks, in the U.S. debt. And I mean We were just at 33 2 months ago. Okay. I mean, it's just nuts. Some of you are hitting me up on Rumble and telling me all this stuff. I mean, Palms Are Us says things have went up more than that here. A basic Whataburger combo has gone from $6 to $10. You know, my wife and I, Mrs. Whiskey and I, went out and we happened to go out on a well, I won't call it was like a spontaneous date night. Let's just say we were out and about and we got hungry, so we went to the local Burger Master. A Burger Master, folks. Not exactly the highest end stuff, but it cost almost $60 for two people to eat and have fries and a milkshake at Burger Master. Prices are going up, and that's the reason why his approval ratings, honestly, are down in the toilet, completely in the toilet. Dog food's up, when they talk about the inflation numbers, I'm just going to tell you, they don't include, it's an automatic baked in the cake kind of thing, not to include food and energy costs. They take that number out completely. Okay. They do it on purpose. And what's even worse is that these elites that are out there, they keep, and by elites, you know, you talk to any of the Democrat cabal that is, quote, in charge of everything, and of course the mainstream media, they all say, oh no, the economy is doing great. Just look at the stock prices. Look at the the stock market in Wall Street and all these other things that are running around. It's horrible. Well, those same types of people, apparently, according to this that just came out, yesterday. Okay. And this is in the Federalist survey. 2/3 of elites say there's too much freedom in America. Wait, what? Too much freedom in America? Okay. I read that and I kind of, it took me pause. It took me a second to kind of go, wait, what? The elites. Yes, the elites. These are those people who run off to Davos, the John Kerrys and the Bill Gateses and all of those people that run off to Davos and attend the WEF and want to tell you that you can't eat meat and you can't eat, you can't gas up your car, that you need to have electric vehicles. We saw this past week how well those things worked. People standing in Chicago, hanging out, waiting to try and charge their electric cars, and the damn things wouldn't even charge because it was so freaking cold. Okay? But these elites, they apparently have kind of gotten together and said, you know what? We're the ruling class. You will have nothing and like it. Yeah. So if we take a look at this, the survey that was sent out and linked, and this is from the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. By the way, both links, they are in the description, the video description, if you want to grab those and get a copy of this. But this, the elite is out of touch with the average Americans. So let me just show you real quick. Here is an analysis on, here's some charts. And if you're listening on the audio portion of the broadcast, please head on over to Rumble and check this out. But here, the voters, these are your personal finances getting better or worse these days. Now they break this up into three separate categories. You have the normal voters, okay? You have the elite 1%, and then you have the Ivy League graduates. Now, the voters have 40% where they're saying that it's worse, 20% saying that it's better, and 40% saying that it's about the same. When you go and take a look at the elites, the 1%, what they classified as the 1%, 74% say that their finances are better these days. Okay. The other categories have, they don't, and this is really the funny part, 16% say that they are the same, or what they mean is not sure. They don't know one way or the other. Now, for those of you that can do math really quickly, 16 and 74 equals 100%. The 1%, the top 1% on this survey, they don't even think things are going worse. They don't even think it's going worse. Now, when you go to Ivy League graduates, that changes slightly. 88% of Ivy League graduates believe that their personal finances are getting better. 9% say it's the same, and 3% say that it's actually worse. Okay. I've got a little bit more on this in just a moment, but let me go ahead and tell you about my store. Go to store.whiskeymusings.online and check out all of the wonderful things that I have available for you, my Whiskey Warrior fans, to go ahead and purchase and support the show in the process. I'm wearing the Whiskey Musings logo sweatshirt hoodie. It is fantastic. It's warm. It feels great. We have things in the store, such as caps with my "When I Think I Drink" motto on it. You know what you could have used last week, and maybe you can get one for next year. You can take a look and grab a Whiskey Musings logoed gaiter, dual 2-ply fabric. It's great. Nice and warm. I got a buddy of mine that has one. He bought one as soon as it came out, because of course this was during the COVID era, but he loved it. Has a fantastic time. You can get things with logos. You can get things with my motto on there. Just go and check it out. Head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online. That's store.whiskeymusings.online, and help get yourself something, and of course help by supporting the show in the process. And yes, Outlaw Dogs, it is dusty. I agree. I need to knock it off or get it cleaned up. It's just kind of sitting there. So anyway, so head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online. All right, back to this survey about the elites. The elites, they think that they know better than you. All right. Well, here's another section. When Americans are asked if there is too much or too little freedom, the elites are 3 times more likely to say that there is too much individual freedom in America when compared to all Americans. Check this thing out. The voters have a breakdown of too much freedom of 16%. I don't know who the hell that 16% is that we have too much freedom. You can never have too much freedom. You can never have too much freedom. I'm sorry. It anyway, 27% say that we have about right freedom, and 57% say that there is too much control. Now, when you move that into the elites, the 1%, 47% say that there's too much freedom out there. 31% say it's about right, and 21% say there's too much control. Now, when you move it to Ivy League graduates, oh my gosh, folks, you know, I have a thought, and I have a request. I think that we need to go from the point where somebody has a PhD, and I'm not talking about a medical doctor degree. I'm talking about the degree that, like, the greatest doctor of all doctors, the pinnacle of all doctoral candidates, Dr. Jill Biden. When you have a doctorate degree, we should no longer call it the doctorate degree. We should call it the indoctrination degree. Because the indoctrination degree shows how much you have been indoctrinated. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. The Ivy League graduates, if you're not watching on Rumble, check this out. I mean, I'm serious. You should look at this chart. That's a pie chart. I can't even believe this. But 55% of Ivy League graduates say that there is too much freedom. 30% say that there's about right or they're not sure. And 15% say there's too much control. I mean, this is absolutely nuts. If you really, really think that there is, there's this us versus them mentality, the elites, they don't like the Smellies. They don't like us average, everyday Americans. They don't want us to think because they, in their mind, believe that they know what is right for you. And you don't know what is right for you. And they need to dictate that crap to you. They need to tell you what is right for you. Well, I've got something for you, Ivy League graduates. Show me what you can do. Don't list out your freaking resume. I don't care how many degrees you actually have. I ran across this on X. This jackarse went ahead and was telling me about, we were talking about Rachel Mad Cow Maddow. And he came on, he or she, I don't know, it was an account, who the hell knows, but they came in and into the conversation and they basically were like, well, she has a PhD in political science and all of this. I mean, he started listing her entire resume. I'm telling you, he or she must have been like freaking up her arse in terms of checking it out. But they were going and just going on and on and on about how degreed this propagandist was. And I just basically said, I don't care how many degrees you have. I really don't. In fact, sitting there and listing your degrees, I've started to realize, especially with a lot of stuff on social media, when they come out and listen and list all their certificates and degrees and everything else, when they go and they list all of that shit, I immediately can tell you I know where they're sitting, especially if they have that PhD. I can almost guarantee you that if they're sitting there listing it out on their profile, there's a reason for it, because they, just like they blame people from the right who have big trucks and have a bunch of guns and display all these guns and everything else, they list out in a manner of compensation. They go ahead and list out all of their degrees because they think that's supposed to be impressive. They believe that's supposed to be impressive. It's not. Show me what you can do. Show me that when a bomb goes off or we end up in a blackout, that you know what the hell to do. Change your oil. Set up something, fix something in your house. Show me that you can work with your hands in some of this. These people are just, they're ridiculous. They are, I'm not blaming book smarts at all. Book smarts are good. You have to understand in certain cases, like for an example, for what I do here, I have to have a degree of efficiency and ability to be able to research subjects, read and understand, and reading comprehension. It is a big deal for what I'm doing here on this broadcast in this program. But I don't sit here having to list out all of my degrees. I don't sit here and tell you guys all the time that I am smarter than you, because I'm not. I'm not smarter. I'm not brighter. I'm not better. In fact, without you guys, this show is nothing. Without having people come and watch this show is literally nothing. Now, they went ahead and asked another question. Now, this is just, oh my gosh, this is just freaking. I can't even imagine how anybody would even think this way. But apparently, they were asked the question: to fight climate change, would you favor or oppose the strict rationing of gas, meat, and electricity? Now, here's how it broke down. Of course, the voters, I'm not going to read everything, but in favor of the voters, the average everyday voters for this question, only 28% said that they would be in favor of strict rationing of those products. 77% in the elite 1% category said that they would favor strict rationing of gas. Now, here's where the Ivy League indoctrinated people came from. They hit us with a whopping 89%. 89% of the Ivy League graduates said that they would favor rationing gas, meat, and electricity. Folks, these are the people who are going to take us over. If things continue the way that they are, these are the people who are going to take us over and lead us into the next century. Well, lead us into the next decade at least of things. Now, here's climate change. Okay. Now, if you've watched this program, you know where I'm at with climate change. Climate change exists, but I don't believe that human affected climate change is there. Okay. Meaning that no matter what we do, we cannot affect climate change enough by cutting back like our CO2 emissions and changing the way that human beings interact with the client on a huge level. Now, there might be some effect, a little bit, but as I've also said on this program, until we get countries such as China and India and Russia 100% and fully on board with what we're doing, even then we won't have that much of an effect on it. In fact, scientists have basically pulled out and stated clearly that we could, even if we were to able to get to carbon zero, net zero that they are focusing and pushing us for, that we actually wouldn't be able to change the temperature of the earth more than about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, which really isn't that much, honestly. That being said, according to climate change, so here's the question: how much would you personally be willing to pay each year in terms of taxes and higher costs to reduce climate change? Well, here's what it is. The standard American voter, 28%, said that they would pay $500 or more. 72% said that they would pay $100 or less. The elites, almost a complete flip-flop. 70% they would pay $500 or more, and 30% said that they would pay $100 or less. The Ivy League graduates broke down in a 3/4 would pay $500 or more in order to do this, and 25% would do just $100 or less. Our Ivy League is where we're at. Our Ivy League is where we have a problem. These people, in case you haven't noticed, most of the people that jump into politics and everything are part of the Ivy League. They are part of it. They all know each other, and they all are part of Harvard and Cambridge, Pepperdine, all these schools that have had some serious problems with not only with racism and, DEI and all this other crap that is being pushed down from the government, but all these Ivy League folks are the ones that are effectively sitting here saying they know what you need to do. You're the Smellies. We're the knowledgeable ones. We're the smart ones. I'd like for any one of them to get an electric generator, fix it, start it, fix it, and run it. I would love for any of them to get out and fix their electric cars when they die. Because believe me, I know a few people that have this kind of attitude, and trust me, they have literally no clue. If it weren't for the blue-collar workers, for the men and women of this country that actually make this country go, if it weren't for them, those Ivy League graduates wouldn't have all of the shit that they do. One more question down here, which I found kind of interesting. So they asked the question, do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of each of the following? And they put out lawyers, union leaders, journalists, and members of Congress. You think, okay, this is probably not too bad of a thing. Well, for the lawyers, the voters had a favorable opinion. Only 49% had a favorable opinion. The elite 1% had a 78% favorable opinion of lawyers. And, of course, the Ivy League graduates rounded out the top at 91%. For union leaders, the regular average American voter, 43% had a favorable opinion, 78% in the elites, and, of course, 86% believe that union leaders were good. For journalists, 44%. And I'll be honest with you, considering the last 5 or 6 years that we've dealt with this, I'm kind of surprised it's even that high. But the elite 1% believe that journalists are good. They have a favorable opinion at 79%, and 84% favorable for the Ivy League graduates. This is part of the problem. This is part of the issue that we have, is that they are actually listening and believing these journalists. Now, members of Congress, this one's telling, big time telling here. Okay. For the regular average American voter, it's 28% positive. For the elite 1%, you're looking at 67% had a positive opinion of members of Congress. And of course, the Ivy League graduates round out the top at 86%. We need to turn this around, folks. We do. I mean, there's a few other things within this, but if you take a look, if you take a look at this, survey, there's a few other categories in here, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling here, but you should really take a look at it. Because if you really want to get a good idea as to why you have such a breakdown between essentially the Democrats, who admittedly, the Democrats have they used to be the party of the blue-collar worker for a very long time, or at least that's how they identified. They're not even close anymore. And this is why they are so out of touch with today's society. This is why the Democrats are so completely out of their minds when it comes to this stuff. Because they all come from the part of the elites and the Ivy League graduates. This is where they come from. Okay? And this is why we have such a huge dichotomy in today's political sphere. You know, Trump appeals to the ones who are the regular average American voters. And this is part of the reason why these people, these Dems, and even some rhinos who came from these Ivy League colleges, this is why they can't figure out what the hell is going on. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. We are much bigger and more populous than they are. We need to all unite. And I'm telling you this, you know, I understand there's those out there who are like, you know, Ron DeSantis folks, and there's those who were dived into Vivek Ramaswamy. And believe it or not, there's even those who are like, you know, Nikki Haley, although those folks I think are more Democrats coming across to the Republican side just to see if they can use her to dethrone Trump. But what we need to do, folks, is we need to start banding together. We may not like Trump. You may not like some of the things that he has done in his personal life, but we need to band together because right now, this is literally a class warfare scenario. Our country is going to go the way of the dodo with these morons in charge. With these Ivy League, I'm from Harvard, and I know more than you. You're just a smelly. Kind of folks, we need to get rid of these people. We need to let them know at the ballot box that we are the majority. We are the silent majority, and we're going to stand up for our rights and stand up for our freedoms. Because again, as this thing points out, they don't think that we should have those freedoms. Now, I have a dumb question for these people who sit there and say, oh no, there's too many freedoms. What do you think is going to happen when the freedoms are actually taken away? They're not going to just like, oh, we're the elites. We have freedoms that you don't. They're not going to do that. But believe it or not, that is actually the Marxist thought and the communist thought. Okay? That is communist thought, the Marxist thought. That's where they come from. That's where these Ivy League morons come from. This is what they are being taught in their universities. And again, if I look at somebody who is not a medical doctor, who says, no, you must call me doctor because I have a PhD, I'm not going to think doctor anymore. I'm going to think indoctrinated. That's immediately what I'm going to think. And I'm encouraging all of you to think the exact same way. This is totally and completely ridiculous that they are even going to think about that. In fact, it's even come down, believe it or not, it's even come down to a guy, a journalist by the name of Philip Bump in the Washington Post. He's actually now stating clearly, that if you think for yourself, you're going to end up being wrong. Oh, this dumbass. Oh my gosh. I don't know if okay. Side note, anyone who follows Dan Bongino on X, Dan Bongino called him out because Philip Bump supposedly said that he got fired, that Bongino got fired at Fox. And Bongino's like, if you can prove that in any way, sense, shape, or form, I'll give you $100,000. Here's the bounty. I'll give you $100,000. And to date, as far as I know, Philip Bump has not received $100,000. Anyway, Philip Bump put in this op-ed piece, and he is using this, honestly, he's actually looking at this from another research paper that did come out that discussed, bad research when it catches on tends to get elevated. Misinformation that catches on gets elevated. But see, Philip Bump took it a little bit farther than that. And he basically is now saying that if you are a critical thinker, such as myself and all of my whiskey warriors, because I know you guys all think that doing your own research is a good way to end up being wrong. Well, sorry to tell you, Philip, so far I haven't been very wrong. I really haven't. But anyway, here's a couple things from the piece. He writes, the internet has been a huge boon for the accessibility of information. There are very few barriers to consuming classical literature or detailed scientific analyses or catalogs of news reports. There is also an exorbitant amount of garbage information, of course, and an entire universe of people who say stuff that they think will get people to click links that will earn themselves money. Well, he's not necessarily wrong with that. There is a lot, believe me, I go through it. There is a lot of frickin' mis and mal information out there. But he basically continues and says, while confidence in American institutions has been in decline for some time, it's not hard to imagine how the economic incentives of the internet contribute. There is an outsized appetite for derogatory, counterintuitive, or anti-institutional assessments of the world around us. This is in part because alleged scandals are interesting, and in part because Americans like to view themselves as independent analysts of the world around us. The result is that there is both a supply and a demand for nonsense or appealingly framed errors. Americans who have little trust in the system can easily find something to reinforce their skepticism, and they often do. Now, this is the thing that Philip Bump doesn't seem to understand, is that a critical thinker can actually go and determine what is verifiable, valid information and what is not. And this is a completely asinine and elitist attitude to have. Oh, no. No. You're not smart enough to think for yourself. You need to listen to what I say, because I am the elite. I know what is best for you. Now, here's the thing. The whole thing with COVID, I mean, I've never really denied that COVID existed. Okay? Never denied that. However, for a critical thinker in terms of the COVID piece of it and the development of a vaccine at a speed with which we did not have enough longevity information to be able to accurately predict the outcome of this vaccine, I was hesitant in getting it. And I am glad that I was hesitant because of all the new information that we have coming out. This is crazy for this guy, this journalist of all things. He's a national columnist. Okay, he writes for a freaking living. Okay. But he's trying to tell us that doing your own research is a good way to end up being wrong. That doing your own research, thinking for yourself, not believing the propaganda is a good way to be wrong. And yet here we are in an age, the last 5 years is a perfect example of all of the supposed conspiracy theories that have actually turned into what is called spoiler alerts. We can't even trust our mainstream media anymore. In fact, the Washington Post is their distribution is so bad that Jeff Bezos is spending something like $100 million of his own money just to keep it afloat. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that this guy is doing this. His intelligence quotient is really, really freaking low. And to have him be the Mr. Howell of the Gilligan Island fame, I'm better than you, it's moronic at best. I mean, he just basically showed how much of a moron he actually is. All right. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but I do want to talk to you a little bit about this wonderful digital radio station that I am part owner in. It's called TGRN, True Grit Roots Network, and you can find us at tgrn.net. We have a 24/7, 365 lineup of fantastic blues music. And I'm telling you, folks, even if you think you don't like the blues, just give us a try, because the blues has all kinds of ties to things like country and rock. Blues is one of those types of music. They even have a tie to a little bit to jazz. Blues is the type of music that most people can listen to and actually enjoy. Go and check us out at tgrn.net. You can listen to us. You can download our app from there, or you can listen to us on Live 365 app. You can listen to us through Live 365. You can also listen to us on your Alexa if you're interested in having a commercialized sponsor of CIA spying in your household. You can say, Alexa, play True Grit Roots Network from Live 365. You have to use the word from, because if you say on, she won't do it. But if you ask her, Alexa, play True Grit Roots Network from Live 365, it may take her a second, but she should find it. Take a listen to our broadcast. We have some fantastic on-air personalities, some great content, and we're adding to it starting up soon this year. In fact, I think we have 2 brand new shows that just started this past week. Head on over to tgrn.net. That stands for True Grit Roots Network, and we are based out of Austin, Texas. And of course, I am part owner in that venture. We thank you very much for the listen. Give it a try. True Grit Roots Network, tgrn.net. And go check us out today when you get the opportunity. All right. So moving on. We have a potential upset here in the Georgia case. And just like with the whole laptop story and everything else, Technofog over on Substack, Technofog writes a fantastic article. If you haven't followed him on X, or if you haven't checked out his Substack, I encourage you to do so. I don't pay for it. I mean, there is an upgrade. There is a paid subscription. I just do the free, and occasionally he puts out articles about high-end stuff. Oh, thank you so much. Becky over on Facebook says that TGRN is the only music station that she listens to. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, Becky. And for those of you that don't know, Becky is from Australia. She's down under. But anyway, so go and check out his Substack, Technofog's Substack called The Reactionary. But this whole thing with the blow up of the Fannie Willis affair is it's interesting, and it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how this breaks out. But according to what Technofog is talking about, the likelihood of recusal, meaning kicking Fannie Willis off of the Trump case, has just increased. So, for those of you that may not understand exactly what's going on, here's a quick synopsis. Fannie Willis got her chief special prosecutor. They were having an illicit affair. He was married, has been since, I think, divorced or still going through the divorce proceedings. And they essentially had an illicit affair. Her office paid him a whole crap ton of money, a lot more money than what her office was paying other folks, other folks, who were working on the case, like astronomically different. He received almost $1 million just as this is going on. Okay. But anyways, they went on lavish trips together because of that money. So her office paid him the money, and he went back and, took her on trips and bought tickets and things like that, for her to do these lavish trips. Well, she was actually, called in to be a witness, and, as a part of the divorce proceedings for this guy, and she is actually trying to avoid it if she can. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. But here's the thing: outside of the whole ethics, there is actually a legal pathway to get her off of this. And what it does is, in this, as I'm scrolling down, if you're watching on Rumble, as I'm scrolling down, I'm kind of showing you the receipts and things like that. You can go and check this out and read all this stuff for yourself. But I'm trying to get down to the part where he's talking about it. So Technofog wrote a previous report about the glaring ethical violations in Wade's appointment. That's the boyfriend. Wade's appointment, as it has served to pay for domestic and international trips for Fannie Willis, his supervisor. Now, the Georgia Supreme Court actually ruled on a case where they essentially said that a conflict of interest can arise, and I'm quoting here, where the prosecutor has acquired a personal interest or stake in the defendant's conviction. So, assuming that she is found, to be, if she is found to have a conflict of interest, this is clearly a conflict of interest. It's also clearly an ethics violation. In fact, she should probably be brought up in front of the bar for this. But the point is that if all of this is done the proper way, and she ends up getting, disbarred, or even having this issue, to where she may not even be a part of the case anymore, here's what likely will happen. Okay. So assuming that these two, Wade and Willis, recuse themselves or are found to be disqualified, what is likely going to happen, the most likeliest outcome, according to Technofog, is that the Fulton County office will assign the case to another attorney. Okay. And if that happens, then the case will go forward. Right. However, if on the off chance that they decide to appoint an outside lawyer, that outside lawyer could also go and take a look at what's going on in the case and decide not to prosecute. And if that happens, then this whole RICO case gets dismissed. And there are some serious concerns with the way that this case was even put together in the first place, with the whole RICO statute and how it's being utilized in order to target Trump and the rest of the defendants. So the RICO law emphasizes that it should be used to prosecute financial crimes or those involving injury to another. Has nothing to do with challenges to an election. And Jonathan Turley mentions that some prosecutors would likely balk at the tenuous connections used to sweep Trump into this grand conspiracy theory, which many critics believe Willis has pursued for political purposes. That statement right there encompasses almost all of the Trump indictments and trials right now, because of the fact that they are using what is essentially unproven, untested legal theories to try and get Trump. They're trying to wrap this stuff up. And I'm talking about Jack Smith. I'm talking about freaking what's his name up in New York. I'm talking about Fani Willis. Those three cases are all being done on what is essentially theories and untested legal acrobatics to get this stuff done for political purposes. And this is why this case in particular is going to fall apart. I think eventually Jack Smith's is going to fall apart. And the one up in New York that Letitia James has been going after, that one will likely get overthrown or thrown out on appeal. Maybe not in the New York courts, but definitely once it reaches the Supreme Court, I think it'll be tossed out on an appeal. So, I mean, this could not have happened, honestly, to a more perfect scenario with these people, because we all know that this is crap. We all know that this is the whole purpose of this is to try and keep Trump off the ballot. And yeah, they just, I mean, Letitia James and Fani Willis have reportedly been to the White House to discuss these cases. They're on the White House logs, the visitor logs, prior to bringing these cases. So don't sit here and tell me that this White House is completely a innocent bystander and, stands back and doesn't, oh, we're just an observer, a silent observer on this. Bull hockey, folks. Total bull hockey for that. And don't even get me started about E. Jean Carroll. I don't even want to talk about her. All right. So, it's taken 3 years for this to be uttered from Joe Biden. But, yeah, I know, Bonnie. I'm trying to keep this somewhat nice. Bonnie over on Rumble says, bullshit. Yeah. Anyway, Biden finally has admitted something. I mean, we're not talking about admitting the fact that, Hunter Biden's laptop is real, although the DOJ went ahead and already did that. He finally admitted something, according to the Daily Wire yesterday. This comes as no surprise to anybody with a brain, but Biden admits the southern border is not secure. But he goes ahead and says, give me the money to secure it. Joe Biden admitted Friday evening that the U.S. southern border is not secure after years of the region experiencing catastrophic surges in illegal aliens pouring into the U.S. due specifically to Biden's immigration policies. Okay. Yeah, not shocked. Well, I am shocked. I'm shocked that he actually admitted it. Although that could be due to his dementia and cognitive decline. He may have thought that they were saying that, that the border was secure, and he just decided to go against that. I don't know. I mean, who the hell knows what goes on in this bat brains guy? He's got oatmeal brains. I mean, let's just face it. This guy, he's not Oh, and I don't know if anybody's seen this on social media, but the left has been going on and on and on because Trump apparently in a speech misplaced or misspoke and said Nikki Haley instead of Nancy Pelosi. And they're claiming that is the, in grounds for a cognitive test or whatever. But anyway, Biden's remarks, he made the remarks while speaking to reporters at a White House event, which included a question about the Department of Homeland Security's Alejandro Mayorkas's impeachment. The reporter asked, "What do you say to Republicans who are trying to impeach Mayorkas?" I don't get it, Biden responded. He probably just didn't even understand the question. But anyway, the reporter followed up and asked, "Do you think it's unconstitutional?" But Biden didn't respond to that. And then the reporter followed up with another question saying, "Do you think that the border is secure?" And Biden responded, listen to this. "No, it's not. I haven't believed that for the last 10 years. And I've said it for the last 10 years. Give me the money." What the heck did he mean by that? Well, they followed up and asked the question if he believes his policies have enabled the crisis on the border. Biden, of course, says, "No, I've asked for thousands more. Everything from judges to..." Anyway. And he did not answer a reporter's question about whether or not the administration would fight Mayorkas's impeachment in court. So, first of all, let's break down this first one. He literally says that the southern border is not secure. But then he also goes on to say that he hasn't believed it's secured, that it's been secured for the last 10 years. Then he goes on and just says, "Give me the money." What? Give you what money? The 10%? Are you looking for your 10%, Biden? Because he asking for the money to do this. I mean, this is ridiculous. And by the way, all of the Democrats are saying that the Republicans are blocking money to add to the security of the border, that they are voting against it. That money has clearly been earmarked to essentially increase, as I believe I've said it on this program, but I'll go ahead and say it again anyway. That money is earmarked by the Democrats to increase the processing of illegal immigrants into the country. They're not looking to secure the border. They're just looking to put in an express lane. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so let me take a look here. I've been going on a little while on this. So one of the narratives that, of course, the left keeps talking about is, hey, there's no way that illegals can vote in our elections. It's illegal for illegals to vote in U.S. elections. And yes, totally get that. Totally understand that. That is true. That is the letter of the law. That if you are not a U.S. citizen, you cannot vote in a federal election. Okay? A federal election. However, this article in the Federalist shows that there is a huge gap in Arizona, of all places, for this crap. Listen to this title. Ballots cast without proof of citizenship exploded after lawfare crippled Arizona election laws. So here's the deal, okay? Arizona passed an election law. Now, in 2018, about 1,700 people in Arizona voted with a federal-only ballot. 2 years later, the number grew to 11,600 individuals, okay? So here's the deal. Here's the thing. They essentially said that Arizona essentially said that in a 20 years ago, Proposition 200 was passed. It was also known as the Arizona Taxpayer and Citizens Protection Act. So here's the thing. So Arizona essentially goes and validates that you're a U.S. citizen in order to vote in an Arizona state election. Okay. If you cannot validate that, they hand you a ballot that is specifically federal election races only, without validating whether or not the person is a U.S. citizen. They basically go and, hey, for the state, you have to prove you're a U.S. citizen in order to vote within the state and for the state elections. But if you can't prove that you're a citizen, we're going to hand you a federal ballot only. Now, they're going back and forth. I mean, the Proposition 200 has been under constant assault from leftists fighting against Arizona's Constitution key qualifications to vote in elections, which is U.S. citizenship. So this is an Arizona constitutional, in the state constitution, requirement is that they have to have U.S. citizenship. If they cannot validate U.S. citizenship, what they'll do is they will not give you a state ballot, but give you a federal ballot. Now, the dumb question that somebody must ask is that if you can't prove you're a U.S. citizen, then why are you being handed a federal ballot? If you can't prove that you're a U.S. citizen to vote in the state of Arizona, in the state elections in Arizona, then why are you even being given a federal ballot anyway? Well, the thing about it is that when Proposition 200 went through and the whole idea of this particular situation came about, the U.S. government sued the state of Arizona and essentially said that you must hand out according to the National Voter Registration Act in 1993, that you have to use the standardized federal voter registration form for the national elections. Now, here's the thing. On that form, it only asks an applicant, under penalty of perjury, you are a U.S. citizen. There's no proof that is required. So if you live in the state of Arizona and you go in and you cannot prove that you're a U.S. citizen, you can get a federal election ballot. No problem. You don't have to prove that you're a U.S. citizen for the federal elections. You only have to do it for the state elections. And these Democrat morons sit here and talk about how, oh, yeah, illegals can't vote in U.S. elections. Hello? Right? Effing here, Arizona. Seriously? Really? Oh my gosh, people, we have all kinds of serious problems in this country. We need to fix our voting system. We need to fix our border. We need to fix, and all of these things, by the way, come from Democrats. They come from Democrats. Idiots are running the asylum. That's all I got to say. Idiots are running the asylum. Holy crap. All right. So a couple other things happened this week. Adam Kinzinger, Rhino from Hell, dumbass, joined the January 6th committee. According to Breitbart, he came out that he's saying that it's pretty disheartening that Trump is showing momentum. He told that to Anderson Cooper on CNN's Anderson Cooper 360. Adam Kinzinger, you're crying. Just go away. You just don't go away mad. Just go away. That's all I'm going to say. Just go away, Matt. Don't go away, Matt. Just go away. We'd love for you to shut up. You and Liz Cheney both of your asses. We would really love for the two of you to just shut up and go away. Anyway, now there's a huge piece in Revolver, and for those of you who, I mean, the focus on January 6th, for an example, the focus on January 6th has always been on whether or not it's been an insurrection. Now, we have the 14th Amendment case going up to the Supreme Court. It's coming. It's going to be heard at the Supreme Court on February 8th, and I am tracking that for you for sure. But the other thing that's not being talked about at all, and I'm not going to cover this extensively because Dan Bongino and both Dan Bongino as well as Sean Parnell of the Battleground have covered it pretty extensively. But I highly recommend that you read this piece from the Revolver. There are so many freaking questions to this thing. How the RNC and the DNC, which speaking of which, the DNC, Kamala Harris was at the DNC when she was reportedly supposed to be in the Senate or in the Congressional Center for the counting of the votes. So how could she be at the DNC and in the Senate chambers, for this? I have no idea. Anyway, the point being is there's a lot of questions that are going on here, but I just got to show you. There's some video out, just so you're aware. There's video out that essentially shows that somebody who has been identified as an undercover Capitol Police officer goes over and tries to tell both the Capitol Police unit that was sitting there as well as what appears to be a Secret Service unit car sitting there, and tries to tell both of them about this quote-unquote device. And they don't do jack crap. In fact, they don't even bother with running around. Now, supposedly what we've been told by the FBI is that this bomb was set 17 hours prior to its discovery. Now, think about that for just a second. 17 hours. And the photo that I'm about to show you of the device, as soon as I can get there, because this is a long freaking piece, but as soon as I can get there, let me show you this device. I can't even, I just can't. I can't even believe why anybody with a functioning brain cells between their ears would actually figure this shit out really fast. But here is a photograph of the device, and the damn thing was supposed to be, according to the FBI, have been placed 17 hours earlier. Now, for those of you who may not be as detailed as I am and may actually be on the audio portion of the program, let me just explain to you what this freaking device looks like, okay? It's a pipe. It's a pipe about, probably about 1.5 inches in diameter, roughly, and probably about 8 to maybe 10 inches long with caps on it. They're iron pipe with 2 caps on the end that you can screw them in. I mean, you can buy this shit down at the freaking hardware store. I've seen it. Okay. But here's the thing. You've got these wires coming out, and you know how when Hollywood gives you this, grandiose bomb thing, this grandiose bomb thing that's out there, they do this grandiose deal where you have all these different color wires, and the actor's got to sit there and like, oh, do I cut the green wire, the red wire, the yellow wire, the black wire? Which wire do I cut? Okay. Well, this stupid ass thing only has 2 wires. It has a red wire and a black wire going into the cap. But here's the kicker. Here's the freaking kicker. There's a 1-hour egg timer that you can buy in any freaking kitchen store. And ironically, when it was found, it had 20 minutes left on it. But the damn freaking thing was left 17 hours earlier. Now, explain to me how an egg timer that is only 1 hour maximum can be attached to a bomb and dropped 17 hours earlier, and yet it was stuck at 20 minutes left on the timer, and it wasn't moving. This thing stinks to high heaven, and in fact, the press themselves have dropped this entire thing because they know that this is just absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely freaking ludicrous on its face. And I don't even understand why anybody would do this. All right. Just really quickly in the last final moments here, with this, NATO has issued a warning, or issued a request. So the most senior military officer in NATO has said that while the Ukraine has stalled for both sides, the Russian ability to regenerate force is becoming a concern, and a potential conflict between Russia and NATO itself, rather than just a proxy like Ukraine, will become a whole society event. And he is recommending that you get yourself ready to survive the first 36 hours of war. From that. And then also, here's another fear-mongering, although very, very, near and dear to my heart. Here's another fear-mongering tactic and thing. This is from the National Interest. Don't know about the paper or the magazine or whatever this is. I don't know about this outlet's political leanings, but they asked the question as to whether North Korea is really getting ready for a war against America. I'm telling you, folks, that Biden in office projects weakness. Weakness in the world stage is a problem for these little ass freaking dictators that are out there. Ronald Reagan had it right, okay? When Gaddafi was starting to talk his shit, and he went ahead and freaking just went and bombed a few palaces of Gaddafi's and said, hey, we knew you weren't home. That's how you handle these dumbasses. That's really how you handle them. Fear and show of force is what you do. And I can see my Rumble folks are learning the definition of what a merkin is. I actually covered it in a video. You'd have to go back. But hey, it's pretty easy. If you wanted to find out, you could head over to Rumble and just type in, go to the Whiskey Musings Broadcast channel, and in the search bar, type in the word merkin. April had merkin. Anyway. All right. Really quickly, I don't have a question for Whiskey tonight. That's just unfortunately, that's just par for the course. But if you want to put one in for next week, do so at fans, F-A-N-S, at whiskeymusings.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at whiskeymusings.online. And yeah, do me a favor. If you haven't done it, if you like the program, if you like what I put together, head on over to Rumble, sign up for an account. It's free. And once you are there, search out the Whiskey Musings Broadcast channel and click that green follow button. And before you take off, if you haven't done so already, please hit the thumbs up button. Rumble counts those. That is known as a Rumble. That is a like. Sean Parnell is famous for saying like and Rumble, like and Rumble, like and Rumble. It's the same damn thing. Just do me a favor and give me a thumbs up on this video. Rumble does pay attention to that, and it gets me higher up in the ratings. Other than that, folks, have a great rest of your weekend. I will. Sorry that they're still going on about the Merkins over on Rumble. But anyway, have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Whiskey Musings Broadcast channel. Good night, everybody.
The Whiskey Musings Broadcast is produced by Active Eye Media, LLC. All rights reserved.